The college football season is over, so we're taking a look at the newest 2024 NFL mock draft, this time from good old Dane Brugler of The Athletic. Very insightful information always included in his mock drafts. Let's break down the picks. Beginning at number 1 overall, the Chicago Bears. He's got them taking Caleb Williams, the USC quarterback. The quarterback discussion between Caleb Williams and Drake Maye is going to be a fascinating one. There's going to be pros and cons to both players involved there. Some chaos involved for the Bears of, are you going to take the guy that holds the football a long time like Fields does, that's Caleb Williams, or could you take another North Carolina quarterback after taking Mitchell Trubisky? That's not actually a fair conversation, but you know that one is going to be brought up in social media. Who is quarterback 1 for you in this class? DM for Drake Maye, CW for Caleb Williams. Sound off in the comments section right now. At number 2, Arizona goes with a wide receiver, although they could certainly be in the quarterback conversation at this stage, although the contract is kind of tricky from that perspective. Marvin Harrison Jr., he's going to be my number 1 player in this year's class. This is a long-time wide receiver 1 in the pipeline. So good news then for Patriots fans. Drake Maye is the pick at number 3 overall. Although maybe you don't trust this current regime to develop a franchise quarterback after the Mac Jones pick has been a disaster because they've kind of ruined him. Maye has awesome traits, however. He and Caleb Williams both worth being quarterback 1 in this class. Number 4, the Bears get some more help for Caleb Williams. This time it's Joe Alt. Now, if you had told me before the year began, hey, Alt's going to go before Olu Fashanu, I doubt it. Fashanu's been great. Alt was even better this year. It's 1A, 1B in the offensive tackle class, with 1B or 1A, Olu Fashanu going number 5 off the board to the Washington Commanders. There's your, at long last, Trent Williams replacement, if you will. So at number 6, the New York Football Giants, Malik Neighbors, and maybe the Giants will talk themselves into an around 6 foot, 200-pound wide receiver from LSU. This is our new Odell Beckham Jr. Not the most outlandish, maybe peak level is a bit crazy, but not the most outlandish comp or dream to talk yourself into there. He has 1,500 plus yards this season. He is an explosive play machine. Gives the Giants the number 1 receiver they don't have at this stage. Time for the first real shock. Number 7, Jayden Daniels off the board here. I have no idea where he's actually going to end up going. I think there actually is some Lamar Jackson comparisons here of skinny quarterback, dual threat on a not great team that might end up winning the Heisman anyway because the quarterback carried them all together. He's a little bit older. Remember, he was throwing passes to Brandon Ayuk in college. It's a weird statement, but it is a factual statement. With that said, teams need quarterbacks, and Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, they are what they are. But adding a potentially dynamic piece would be entertaining, and I think a team is going to gamble on Daniels in the first round. I just don't know where that will end up being. So will Jayden Daniels go in the top 10 despite the very skinny frame? And not elite arm strength necessarily, but he's been very good this year. He's been awesome. He'd be my pick for the Heisman. Y for yes and for no, sound off in the comments section. Brock Bowers goes number 8 to the Jets. He can do some wide receiver and tight end stuff. Assuming it's Aaron Rodgers back, you're adding a playmaking option for him. Number 9, J.C. Latham, the Chargers. Let's help protect Justin Herbert. I have never thought Trey Pipkins was that good. Latham is a plug-and-play piece at right tackle. Dallas Turner, number 10, the Titans. Their pass rush has not been great. I think getting Harold Landry back fully healthy next year will actually be a big boost to that. But I do think Turner is the top pass rusher in this year's class. There's some, or at least one of the top 2 pass rushers, I should say. The one with maybe the least concerns. We'll get to that other guy here in a little bit. But I think medical's more clear for Turner than it is for, stick around to around pick 14. You'll see what I'm talking about. Number 11, Nate Wiggins. Cornerback is an obvious need for the Raiders, whether it's Wiggins, Kool-Aid McKinstry, the other Bama corner we'll get to on today's show. Adding an outside corner piece makes a ton of sense for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, today's show was made possible by Prize Picks. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you, against the numbers. That's why I love it. You're not battling thousands of other players, pros, sharks, etc. You can mix and match sports, NFL, NBA. The reboot policy keeps your picks in play in the event of injury. Player goes down in the first half, does not return. Player is rebooted. Your picks stay alive. And the flex play allows you to only get 2 out of 3 right, 3 out of 4 right, whatever, and not have your picks lose because you only got one incorrect. My NFL picks this week, give me more than Justin Herbert passing yards. I think a big game's coming for him. More than George Kittle receiving yards against the shaky Eagles spine of that defense. And anytime David Montgomery touchdown as well. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comments and the description of today's show. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Number 12, Keon Coleman. I'm a huge fan of his game. Last year's draft class did not have many X receivers, those bigger-bodied outside threats. Jonathan was like the first one taken. He's been terrible. Coleman is a stud, Michigan State FSU transfer. Numbers do not pop off the screen, but for a big-body threat that the Saints don't really have, I love the fit. How about this? The other Alabama corner, at least entering the year, was viewed as the other one. Terrion Arnold. Look, the traits, I think, are a little bit better for Arnold than Kool-Aid McKinstry. I would rather have Kool-Aid because I do value, hey, teams won't throw at him. That was the case with McKinstry. Not to throw shade at Arnold at all. 13 is a little bit rich for me, but first round, if he goes pro, it's not that crazy. He has been awesome this year for the Crimson Tide. Number 14, Laiatu Latu out of UCLA. You can make a argument for him to be over Dallas Turner. I would, as long as the medical checks out. The stuff he went through in his career is a red flag that has to be checked off there. Not great traits, like the length and the speed might not be elite, but he has 64 pressures this year. It's tied with Braylon Trice. Did it on like 100 fewer pass rush reps. I know. Chris is laughing, 64 pressures. I know. All he does is win. It's impressive. Number 15, another Washington player, Rome Odunze, out of the Huskies' big-bodied receiver. This is going to be a guy that runs like the 4.4 something at 6'3". Yeah, it's a loaded wide receiver class. That's normally a good thing. This is your Teagan's replacement, much cheaper. He's been great contested catches. These top receiver class, Coleman, Odunze, and Neighbors, it is a special group this year. Love the pick of Amarius Mims here. He is missed some time with injury. He may not be a fully there player, but for a developmental upside piece at left tackle, the sky is the limit for him. Might be a sit for a half year or a year and then give him playing time, but protecting Josh Allen long term is always a good idea. We're trying to get to 5.5K subs right here on our NFL Draft channel. Help us get there. When you sub, you get free videos, and we continue to grow and get to do more videos this offseason. Let's go to number 17, Jared Verse out of FSU. Did you guys watch the end of that Florida FSU game? He just took it over. And I kind of been waiting to see that all season long. Finally got going a little bit there. The Cardinals don't have much juice at pass rusher, so taking Verse at 17 makes sense. Number 18, it's now the Alabama secondary in Denver. It's Pat Surtain and Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think he's an awesome football player. I would prefer Kool-Aid McKinstry over Arnold, but I understand why Dane is saying some teams might prefer Arnold. That's fine. It's the NFL draft. It's ice cream. It's your favorite flavor. It's not really a wrong answer, again, except for mint. Better cornerback, CM for Kool-Aid McKinstry, TA for Terrion Arnold. Sound off in the comment section right now. More pass rushers here. Chop Robinson. A little inconsistent this year, but again, in a class that does not contain great, elite, earth-shattering defensive talent, the traits of Robinson indicate that this is probably someone who sneaks into the round one stage. It's patience required, but the athletic ability is something you just don't find very often. Trezon Newton out of Illinois. He's not the biggest guy, and I don't care. He plays a bunch of snaps and makes plays. I think he'll test pretty well, even at a more undersized frame. He's just not the biggest guy out there. I think it'd be a fun fit in Minnesota as a 3 technique. Now we get to the run of offensive tackles that happen around this range. Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. Chris Ballard loves traits, loves size, and that is Guyton to a T. It listed at 6'6", 320, and it moves super well. This is a potential long-term left tackle for Indy. I love this fit. JJ McCarthy to Seattle. I am in on McCarthy. We have not seen him take over games this year because it's not Michigan's job to showcase McCarthy. It's Michigan's job to win football games. That continues to work. He has not played his best the past month. If he can showcase himself in a major way or gets the opportunity to do that in the college football playoff, great. Maybe that bumps him up. Maybe it drops him down. Who knows? But I think sitting him for a year behind Geno Smith or so would be a really good idea for Seattle. I like the traits. We just haven't seen it consistently. Not because he can't do it, but because he hasn't been asked to do it. So will JJ McCarthy be a first-round pick? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Sound off for me in the comment section right now. Here's the other LSU wide receiver. He's 6'4", 205, Brian Thomas Jr. I don't mind the Steelers adding a receiver because I don't know if the Deontay Johnson history is that's going to work with the whole lack of effort he's shown as of late. Number 24, Houston needs a corner. They get one, Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. He can play every spot in the secondary, inside, outside, safety. Love his game. Number 25, Troy Otwanu. I think I got that right. If not, I'm terrible. Such a trickier name for me. But he's a good football player. I think Mel had him like a 10 or something. That was too rich for me. Back end of round 1 checks out. Built more like a guard, could maybe hold up a tackle where he's played for Washington, but Miami has holes at both spots. Another flex player on the offensive line, Graham Barton out of Duke. Some people think he might play center. I still think sometimes when they say, oh, this guy might be a center. He was a tackle in college. They go, he's good, but he's not like a traitsy player, so we're going to kick him inside because we don't know what to do with him. That's like the coded language I think pops up sometimes. Might be a left guard in the NFL, which could put Tyler Smith at left tackle, although maybe you're better off keeping him at guard. He has been awesome at that spot so far this season. Certainly worth keeping an eye out for from that perspective. So 2 similar-ish players kind of pop in there for Miami and for Dallas of offensive linemen who played left tackle, might play a different spot in the NFL. JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State. It's a traits-based pick. If you take away the Penn State games, he's like a day 3 pick. If it's only the Penn State games, he's a top 10 pick, which is what we said last year. Kind of the same, a little bit better so far this season. I don't know. He's a tricky prospect for me. Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State, so back-to-back Buckeyes here. Here's your Zay Jones upgrade. Now it's Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, and Egbuka, maximizing the playmaking ability for Trevor Lawrence. Number 29, Patrick Paul. There is your Donovan Smith replacement. Paul needs some time to grow and develop, but it's a loaded tackle class. It's going to keep happening in this mock draft because we're not done yet. Tali Ese Fuaga, I think I got that one right, out of Oregon State. This is a right tackle option. I think actually fits pretty well in the Niners scheme, and I think it'd be a plug-and-play option on the right side of the offensive line. Action alert. Quinyon Mitchell, 17 pass breakups so far this year. Great size, great speed, really good production. Is not a household name. I'm not sure he goes in round 1 because, it's Mac. Doesn't happen that much, although, Eric Fisher once was the first overall pick. But definitely a name to keep in mind for, mid to late, early round 2, mid to late round 1 as well. Finally, one more offensive tackle. Kingsley Suimaitai out of BYU, the former transfer from Oregon. He needs time as well. Eagles love taking offensive line because they get it. Smart teams know you got to invest in the offensive line. Eagles do it better than anybody. Who did Dane Brugler leave off of his 2024 NFL mock draft? Plenty of names you can throw in there, but do sound off for me in the comments section right now. Dane, because he's cool, also put in 2 round 2 picks for the teams without a first-round selection. Carolina getting Jordan Morgan of Arizona, could also be a potential first-round pick, and they need help all across that offensive line. I feel bad for Bryce Young. Dude's had no chance. He finishes his drops and he goes down. And then for the Browns, Ohio State defensive tackle Tyleik Williams. So not Michael Hall Jr., but the other OSU pass rusher on the inside. Given their needs up front, free agency-wise, does make sense for Cleveland.